Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the October edition of our Gigabit demo call. We have some really exciting updates today from our Gigabit Community Fund teams in Chattanooga and Kansas City, as well as an update from one of our partners at US Ignite. So first, I want to turn it over to Anjali Chandra, who is a senior at Girls Preparatory School, who is leading the Gig Bridge project that is using our gig network here in Chattanooga to overcome some digital divide in our community. Anjali.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me today. I'm Anjali, as Lindsay said, and I'm currently the program director for Gig Bridge, which is a program that empowers youth to advocate for health through technology. And our aim is to enable Hispanic English as a second language students to develop bilingual mobile applications related to obesity. And thus far we have started with two pilot sites at Eastlake Academy and Chattanooga Girls Leadership Academy, and we started the program 2 weeks ago, and it's been a really great experience seeing all the volunteers come out. We've had people from University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, Tennessee Valley Authority, GPS, and just other local community members coming, even from the health community, who've been really, really helpful. Initially, we had some trouble with participation because the school was having trouble communicating with the families about what days the program was running, so we had a low turnout on the first week. But I went to the school for 2 days during lunch to speak to students about the program and to solicit some more interest. And I think that worked really well because we increased our numbers to about 20 now at Eastlake. We only have 4 at CGLA, but they're really dedicated and they come every week and they're prepared. So right now we're working with the 4 at CGLA, and I'm trying to get into an English as a second language class there to speak to the students as well. We are just now They've done consulting with some local healthcare professionals and have done some initial basic scheme and design work with the professor from UTC, looking at what makes an app appealing and that sort of thing. And now they're moving into deciding what they want to focus on for their app. So yesterday we did a focus identification worksheet, and then they were given some time to do research and gather requirements for their app. And so moving forward, next week they've got fall break, but after that we should be launching into the full-on design process, and we're hoping to collaborate with some of the developers from Mozilla to see if they can Skype in and give some advice to the teams as they develop their apps. And I'm just really, really thankful for the other team members who are helping me. Miss Pala is from GPS, and she's always on site helping out whenever I can't be at 2 places at once. So she's been really great, and I think it's going well so far. It's been a learning experience, and we've had to adjust the schedule as needed because students have different learning styles. So we've had to incorporate that, and I'm hoping to have a successful program in the future.
Fantastic, Anjali. Thank you so much. I know you have to get to class, but just one question. What's your timeline going forward after fall break? I know you said they'll be in development. What's the final product? What will the students be presenting at the end?
So at the end, they're going to be presenting in an app developed with AppyPie, which is a web application, and that'll be presented in English and Spanish for the students who are both Spanish and English speaking. Some of our students, we opened it up to have not just Hispanic students, so we have a few who are from non-Hispanic backgrounds, but majority are Hispanic, so they're going to be translating their apps, and at the end they'll present the bilingual application, and a panel of judges will decide which one is the most promising app. At that point, that app will be uploaded to the Apple Store. So that's an incentive for the students to create a really good product.
That's awesome, Anjali. Thank you so much, and have a great class.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye.
Carrie, do you want to introduce our next speaker?
I would love to, and it was very refreshing to find his face showing up there because I thought I was going to have to fill in and give the US Ignite report out on this fantastic event. But there he is! I am very excited to have a recap from Bill McGuire from US Ignite. I had the opportunity and the privilege to attend the Global Teams Challenge, which was sponsored by US Ignite and NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. It was in Washington, D.C. at the NIST campus, which was a fantastic location in Gaithersburg, Maryland, with lots of deer and I think I even saw a woodchuck. But it was a great experience where there were several cities and a lot of folks that self-identify as smart communities coming together to really ignite on the development and exploration of smart city applications. So I would love to turn it over to Bill to get kind of a recap on what took place over those 2 days. So Bill.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation to join you all. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm in a public space. But yeah, so on Monday and Tuesday of this week, we 200 of us in person and about 160 or so online joined a community to discuss the Global City Teams Challenge. I'd say this is probably like a data jam or a hackathon kind of with a government sort of awkward spin. It is trying to bring together communities, and we had probably 10 to 15 communities that were sort of prominently driving potential projects and innovators in the hopes that when you get these folks together, communities can establish their sort of requirements or challenges that they're seeking to address, particularly within this Internet of Things space. The federal government, U.S. federal government, seems to be inclined to call it cyber physical systems, but it's the Internet of Things space that this whole challenge is focused on. So we had about 14 to 15 communities present, and a lot of innovators from the university community, from nonprofit communities. The federal government was well represented, as were sort of larger technology companies. That started with some kind of overview from the government and introduction from US Ignite. It quickly moved into 6 different breakout sessions where folks were asked to share their building block, what they're sort of bringing to a potential project. And then in the afternoon of that first day, there was breakouts into potential teams, generally organized, it seemed to me, around city requirements. And just to give you a little bit of a flavor of some of those requirements, the city of Portland had a multimodal transportation-related Internet of Things project, which seems like it involves, if it goes to execution, involves a deployment of sensor networks on buses, potentially on bicycles, maybe even some wearable technology, so that there would be information collected about the best way to get between A and B, given a variety of different options. There was a project that was driven by the public library in Chattanooga around collecting pollen information and creating an application that would provide real-time sort of pollen counts. Apparently, this is news to me, but Chattanooga is the 11th, suffers pollen to the 11th most severe in the U.S. Not sure how to describe that exactly. So that was interesting. We even had maybe a little less hackathon-y type efforts with IBM and AT&T establishing a project they want to pursue together, monitoring water leakage out of municipal water systems. So to deploy sensors there, I guess would use the AT&T network and the IBM sort of analytics to evaluate where that water lossage is. I think the statistic, Carrie, maybe you remember, statistic I heard was upwards of 40% of water systems are sort of unaccounted for where that water goes. So that gives you a little bit of a flavor of kind of the types of conversations that were occurring. We had a readout from, I think it turned out to be 14 different teams, including one from Carrie. Thank you, Carrie. On the second day in the morning. And the next steps are to load up onto the US Ignite's website the information around these 16 teams, to encourage more and more interested participants to create a profile on the US Ignite site, and to kind of use the US Ignite site's functionality to provide a matchmaking function where interested parties can see, there's a project here in Portland that involves deployment of sensors in a transportation vertical. That's something I know something about, or I'm interested in getting involved. Again, it's a little bit of a, it's not unusual, I think, within the innovator community, but I think for the cities, this is a little bit new. We're getting some questions about, like, is there money? You know, who's going to do what? How does this thing get organized? And I admit I have some of those same questions. I think what we have some confidence, given the success of last year's Smart America initiative, which had this same sort of voluntary function, a voluntary format around projects that would have a 6 to 8 month incubation and then a kind of public report out. There was a lot of interest. 100 different groups participated last year. So we're, I think, quite optimistic that we will have a lot more participation this year. Maybe I'll stop right there and, pleased to answer any questions. There was, there's a lot to discuss, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Bill. I have a couple questions. I think that for the purpose of this call, there's probably a couple of things. I did include the US Ignite link in the group chat, so and I'll post it on the event webpage too, so people can kind of get to that application index and see the kinds of projects that were being discussed. Some of these projects came rather preceded, like there were some conversations that happened before the event, and so there were varying degrees of organization and structure to the projects themselves. I think some, kind of came to life. I know the one that I was working on came and manifested out of the conversations that happened at that event. So I feel like that's, very impactful. But if for people that are tuned in that weren't part of this event or didn't join virtually, what is the best way for them to kind of tap into some of these projects and these initiatives?
Thank you for that question. It's a great one. So right now, the best thing to do, I think, is still to go to the US Ignite page that's specifically associated with the Global City Teams Challenge and register your interest in the challenge. That way, we've got you on our list. You can provide some information about who you are and what your area of interest is, what you bring to the challenge, and that way we'll know a little bit about you. But maybe more importantly, it will mean that you'll definitely get the next kind of series of emails, which will direct you to PowerPoint presentations that were delivered by the different groups or teams that formed at the workshop. It'll direct you to where you can go to create your own profile and make sure that you, if somebody is searching for
I can't hear Bill anymore. Can you guys?
sorry about that.
There you
I'm
are.
back. My recommendation is to register on the US Ignite site.
Okay.
If you go to the main US Ignite site, there's a button for the Global City Teams Challenge, and to register there.
Okay, great. And I know that from some of the conversations that took place over the course of those 2 days, it sounds like there's more convenings that may happen through the course of the next 9-month period, where the groups of people interested in progressing these projects will have the opportunity to get together and kind of continue to move the needle, even in a more organized fashion than working on their projects, linearly from their own independent platform.
Yes, so there will be a winter meetup. I don't think we have all of the specifics yet, but we believe it's valuable to have one more sort of face-to-face opportunity. But the team leaders will kind of establish the cadence of that particular team's work product and work effort. Seems like a best practice is, calls every 2 weeks at the very least, and action items and an online presence that allows collaboration to occur. I think our colleagues at NIST in the federal government often make the point that these projects are really most exciting to NIST when they involve actual deployments. So when it's actual sensor networks, for instance, being deployed. So there is a real, push to kind of make tangible some of these projects. And they had some success last year, so we're going to push for that again this year.
Okay, great. Well, I thank you, and I think what would be really valuable for us is to check back in with you once you've had another sort of milestone event like that winter meetup, and just see how things are progressing, so that we can start to watch how these things truly do manifest into real projects that can, come to the deployment stage. So thank you very much for sharing that.
Oh gosh, it was my pleasure. It was a pleasure to meet you, Carrie, and virtually it's a pleasure to meet you all. Thanks again.
Thanks, Bill. I'm going to take a minute to introduce our next demo project. So this is a project I know quite well, as they have a current deployment pilot in Kansas City. But this is a project that predates even the Gigabit Fund. This is a project that has won application awards, that has been part of the US Ignite family for quite some time, and I'll let Kevin kind of talk about the trajectory of the project with FitNet specifically, and really help kind of build the overall picture. But I'm very excited to work with Kevin and his team in Kansas City. They've had economic impact in Kansas City, bringing new jobs to Kansas City with this project. He hails from Blacksburg, Virginia, but he has a satellite office here in KC. So we're very proud of the TechHawks pilot project of FitNet. And without further ado, I would love to have Dr. Kevin Hill tell us more about that project. Kevin. Well, it looks like we can't hear Kevin. for some reason. So in the interim of figuring out what his audio situation is, I'll tell you a little bit about my experience with the US Ignite Global Teams Challenge. Piggybacking off of what Bill was talking about earlier this week in DC, I went to this workshop without a specific concept in mind, really just taking my experience as a community builder and somebody in the next generation technology space, wanted to look at what kinds of smart applications were being tinkered with and deployed across the country, what kinds of cities are interested in putting these applications into their infrastructure. Kansas City was actually selected by Cisco as a smart and connected community, so we had some representation there from Kansas City and with the city, so it was great to see this. But what really happened was, I joined a team with the Officer of Information Technology and Senior Advisor of Technology from Duke University, talking about big picture data implications and privacy and integrity with smart applications. And what became a very interesting thing to sort of conceptualize from a policy standpoint, we really started to look at what the social contract of...
Can you guys hear me now?
Yay!
Yay! All right, I just had to restart.
Okay, I'm going to stop talking now.
Sorry about that. Thank you for
my filler is done.
Well, thank you very much. That was excellent filler. I'm Kevin from Team FitNet. We're based here in Blacksburg, Virginia, but we have a project called TechHawks in Kansas City, and we're really happy to talk about all the great work we've been doing there. So a little bit about FitNet first. We're a mobile app development company. We produce a fitness app for iPad and iPhone as well as Android. Inside the app, you get to watch short 5-minute videos of a variety of styles and intensities, set sort of a goal and a plan for yourself, and then also connect with a personal trainer through the app that can sort of help you along your fitness journey. And about the beginning of the summer, about a year ago, we ended up starting to talk to a group in Kansas City called Healthy Hawks. And Healthy Hawks is this amazing program that takes entire families in the Kansas City area and sort of puts them through this obesity prevention program. And it's really focused around their children, but it incorporates the entire family. So TechHawks was this project that we started with them, a partnership where we would go and give iPads to these families that are already going through Healthy Hawks and allow the app to sort of help bridge that gap between what Healthy Hawks could do in person and then what all these families were doing in their daily lives at home. So it's been a bit of an interesting ride. We've had a couple of small technical challenges that we've had to overcome, but everything's sort of moving along now. We got funded. How long ago was it now, Carrie? About a month ago or something. Everything started getting moving, and through the Mozilla Foundation, and we bought some iPads and we gave them out about 3 or 4 weeks ago to the kids in Kansas City that had just begun a sort of trajectory of a 12-week program through Healthy Hawks. And there was a lot of excitement that first day. I mean, it was like it was just great to see all the kids running around, very excited to get their iPads. We had all the families come outside into a basketball court and do a workout all together. Little 3-year-olds trying to do yoga. It was just adorable. And those workouts that they were doing were made possible by some of the partnerships that we've been building in Kansas City with local trainers and the Healthy Hawks program. So we have 2 local trainers, Mandy and Courtney, that are sort of kid-centered and trainers in Kansas City. And they were able to produce local content for us that was centered on those kids in Healthy Hawks and then also show up in person. So the kids can get that sort of very important connection between what they're seeing on the screen and what they're doing in Healthy Hawks. So after that first week of excitement, there was a couple of small technical challenges we hit with just trying to get Wi-Fi. I mean, just trying to get signal, really. I mean, it's all about connectivity, right? But so the Healthy Hawks right now is housed in a basement of a church, and that basement is basically a cinderblock and rebar cage. So there's no signal in there. So that sort of was one challenge. We've been now talking to the church about they actually have a Wi-Fi system there and getting that connected to the kids. We've also been looking into how we can connect these families through Google Fiber. Pretty much every single family is in a Google Fiber hood. And so we've been talking to Google a little bit about how we can make something happen there. And there's some really exciting possibilities of getting these families connected, not just to FitNet, but through the whole sort of gig ecosystem. Maybe one thing I should do is show you guys, try to do a screen share. My mic didn't work earlier, but hopefully I'll be able to do a screen share here. I'm going to try to show you guys the dashboard and show you guys sort of what the trainers are seeing on their side. So let's try to do that. I'm going to do entire screen. We're going to do the entire screen. All right. Hopefully this works. So hopefully you guys should be seeing right now a web page, which is our dashboard for Healthy Hawks. Is that, you guys all see that? Good. Awesome. All right, I'm going to go back to that. All right. So this is the dashboard that we would see as you log in as Coach D and Coach C, which is Courtney and Mandy. And tells you a little bit about all the families that are involved. So we've got 14 families right now that are signed on to the program. We've had a couple more families add in to the program later, and we're trying to sort of get them onboarded as well. And right here, down in the bottom right-hand corner, you guys can see a list of all the 14 families that we've had enter the program. And you can sort of see a really good example of the successes and the challenges that we're seeing with these kids. So you can see that about 6 or 7 of them have been doing some workouts this week, and that's like in between Sunday and today. And then about 7 or 8 of them have not been doing workouts. And so, I mean, this is a classic problem that Healthy Hawks faces and that we want to help them improve on, which is that they have these kids, they come in, the families are very motivated, and then that motivation wanes over time. It's not just really a problem with obesity prevention programs, but just, you know, all of us, I'm sure, as you're trying to get fit, there's those struggles, and you hit those bumps along the road. One of the things that we found really useful in getting these kids re-engaged is that engagement with the trainer. So you can see that any one of these trainers can message these kids through the app, and both through that messaging through the app and as well the weekly meetings that they have with those same trainers that they're going to be seeing in the app really has sort of helped kids connect with the app and sort of care more about that weekly progress. Yeah, and we'll go, let's see, I guess we'll go and look at one of our people who's doing a little bit better, David Maldonado. You can see that he has sort of a weekly plan that's mostly these little heart symbols, which are cardio. So he's going to be doing a lot of cardio throughout the week and then a little bit of yoga on Friday. And he could get a detailed view, the trainer could get a detailed view of exactly what he's been doing on what days by looking through here and see that, oh, well, he missed his schedules for Thursday, but he was really good on Wednesday. Yeah. So I think that, I'll stop that screen sharing. But so that's a little bit of an example of what type of data we think that the trainers want to see that will really help them identify who in the program needs the most help, who is doing well, and how they can sort of tailor the experience of the program to fit the needs of each student. So I think that's a little bit about an overview. Do you guys have any questions about Tech Hawks and how we've been doing things? Yeah?
I have a question.
Great.
I'm curious to get a sense of how the trainers work with the clinicians and if there's any even early
Sorry, I heard early something.
Clinicians kind of nudges and
nudges.
clients.
Okay. I think that broke up a little bit, but I think the question was that you want to know how the trainers are working with the clinicians to have that sort of early intervention and those nudges. And I think that's a great question. It's something that Healthy Hawks didn't really have the ability to do as much before this Tech Hawks program. It was they're a cash-strapped nonprofit research group. They pretty much they focus all of their attention really on that one day. It's Monday, every Monday. They'd come together and meet somewhere with all the families, or as many families as would show up, and just try to have as much of an impact as they can then. And so what they've been really excited about is the ability to now sort of use FitNet to connect with these families multiple times throughout the week, and really hopefully have that greater impact. The trainers have been talking a lot with clinicians to sort of try to help and figure out which families are actually doing the workouts regularly, and what sort of content they want to develop next that can sort of meet the needs of these children. We've started working into sort of a little bit of a gamification system too that's already built into Healthy Hawks, where they have like a little prize bin, which is a whole bunch of fun Nerf balls and frisbees and all that type of stuff. And so now that we're going to be linking FitNet into that too. So your FitNet activity in FitNet, saying if you did 30 minutes a week or whatever, will get you more of these fun little prizes that the kids love. So it's really about that, finding all the little things that can sort of help link what they're doing every day in their life to the Healthy Hawks program, and having that sort of regular interaction with them rather than just sort of once a week and then letting them out on their own.
That's awesome, Kevin.
Yeah. I have one more question, though, Kevin.
Yeah, sure.
So is this sort of a segue for and a good example of how technology can assist doctors or nurses or anyone who is looking for some sort of wellness regimen?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so my background is in psychology, and really with FitNet we've taken a very behavior change centered approach. There's these great sort of psychological models of behavior change and what you need to actually be successful, in saying the difference between having an abstract plan, if I want to get fit, I want to get healthy, I want to get more active, whatever, and how you actually make that a concrete reality. And that connection between sort of a trainer or a wellness coach or a clinician, and establishing that personal connection between you and them, and having them able to give you feedback on what you're doing, having their expertise on helping you set those plans and those goals, is incredibly powerful and incredibly important. So yeah, we definitely like to think that this model of using technology to both scale the impact of professionals as well as connect those professionals to their clients in a convenient manner should apply to more places than just fitness.
That's awesome, Kevin. Thank you so much for the update. It's been really exciting to watch FitNet develop over the last couple of months. One of my favorite moments at the US Ignite Summit earlier this year was all of the crowd doing a FitNet demo, getting up and getting moving with some gig yoga, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Thank you guys, all of our presenters and everyone watching. We really appreciate you joining us for our demo call. We'll be back on the first Friday of November at 11 a.m., 10 Central. There are some exciting events coming up in both Kansas City and Chattanooga in the next couple of weeks with our Hive Learning communities, with Startup Week here in Chattanooga. I'm sure Carrie and I will both post links and events on the event page if you're interested in joining us for all the events coming up and seeing some of these projects in the flesh in real life. So thank you all, and we'll see you next month.
Great.